Yes, sir. This is your one and only Anta Malabani. Guys, today's video is just gonna be like a young, tour guide, like a little bit type thing. To share some insight on a recent decision that I've made. Um, but without any further ado, sorry, let me stop there. Guys, I just forgot this is not my YouTube channel. But also, guys, I would like to influence you guys to visit my YouTube channel at OMG underscore show 04. You can go there. Please subscribe to the channel, notify us. Drop a comment down below, like whatever you get to find the, please make sure that you share it and subscribe to the channel, and make sure that you share the content with your friends. But today, guys, I'm not gonna do the intros I've said, because this thing is gonna be a TikTok video. So I'm gonna keep it short and brief. But before we get into the content and the food of this, the fruits of this in the video, I would like to tell you about the person who inspired me into, creating this video, guys. This is a video that is founded and also supported by Leadership Tabo. And if you also get to see this one, it's also an act of thanks for the support that you've been giving throughout this journey of ours. Today, guys, I'm gonna be giving you a brief explanation of the recent decision that I've made and taken, which is being a part of the formerly known as EFF party, Economic Freedom Fighters. And by the way, high morale, high discipline to those who know. And by the way, sorry for breaking the organizational code by not wearing a t-shirt as a representative, because a soldier must always wear his uniform when embarking into war, so that he can be identified. But you should know, guys, since I'm already saying, I've taken a decision to become an EFF member. And reason being, it's not because of nepotism. It's not about favoritism, or it's not because of peer pressure and some of the things that we just hear. It's a decision that I took based on certain affairs and certain you know factors around me contributing to this knowledge and what I'm about to share. So I stand with what EFF believes, and to state and to be brief about it, the thing, like the doing away of tenders, and moving banks from private sectors to nationalized sectors or public sectors. Today we'll just use a simple one, because the one of tenders, it's quite simple to understand. So let's deal with the a little bit complex one, which is the whole issue of moving banks, whether it's gonna be commercial banks or even the Reserve Bank. But let's deal with the Reserve Bank, because that's the one that posits and funds commercial banks within our economical structure in South Africa. So we will have to firstly take into account that there's four terminologies. One, it is depreciation, it is appreciation, it is devaluation, it is also revaluation. So why are we also taking these words into account? One, we have to understand that appreciation, it means it is the decrease in the value of our rand, or it is the decrease in the currency of whatever currency or in a certain country. And then we have appreciation. This is the accumulation of value in rands of a certain country, and which it means for us it's Zara or rand. So then we move to the other one, devaluation. Devaluation, it is the deliberate decrease of the value of a certain currency, not determined by the market forces, meaning supply and demand forces. No, that's the manipulation, the deliberate manipulation of the value of a certain currency to maybe destabilize the economy. Or then we move then to what to revaluation. Revaluation, as I've already said, it's more like appreciation, but that's also a direct and a deliberated decision that was taken by whatever forces or whatever men who are in power to increase the value of whatever currency to benefit the so-called country or them. Okay, now why are we mentioning this four terms? We're mentioning this four terms to understand that the whole principle of what is it that the EFF is trying to get at, from moving a private bank to a national bank. This is what it is. We're going to be focusing on these two ones: devaluation and revaluation. So now let's just say we have a case or a scenario right now where there has been a land that has been discovered to be a virgin land, meaning that this is land that has been discovered to have, like, maybe it's rich in whatever mineral. We could say it's gold, it's a new site which hasn't been exploited. So now there are foreign investors who want to capitalize on this thing. But right now, it turns out this is what's gonna happen. We have a bank which is not nationalized, which right now will be using what? The South African Reserve Bank. As we all know, the South African Reserve Bank, it is our reserve bank, but it's not fully controlled by us. And matter of fact, it's not even controlled by us because it determines it. Hence, we have what? The monetary policy, which it is the Reserve Bank regulating itself and regulating economical affairs within our economy. And then we also have the fiscal policy. This is where now we have the Minister of Finance. This is where there's government interventions in terms of the financial world or the financial dimension for them to try and adjust to some of this, unreasonable or reasonable conditions that we get to live in. So now, the monetary policy, it is the South African Reserve Bank independently, so as an entity that is unique and that is not regulated by the government, but it deals with data that is collected by the government through Stats SA and all of that. We're not going to be going through that because we are limited. We have 10 minutes time, so I have to wrap up this thing real quick. So with that being said, the whole thing of taking a bank or the South African Reserve Bank, since it's not ours, meaning that it's not state owned, the majority shareholder is not the state, so it's a problem because when it's private, this is what happens. Let's just say there is me and there's you. Now it turns out we have shares, or let's just say we then come together, you and I, we get to contemplate and we sit down and we get to strategize and come up with whatever agendas that we see are going to benefit us as a private entity, since we're not being controlled by the government. So you and I, member, leader, or whoever who's watching this video, it turns out we choose to combine our shares to become one entity, so making us what? The majority shareholder. And now, since we are now the majority shareholder, look at what happens now. We have a scenario where we now have discovered we are foreign investors, but we are shareholders in what? The South African Reserve Bank. So this is what happens. I, member Malapani, or member Anza from the EFF, and we then we take a decision to deliberately decrease, which is what? Devaluation, to decrease the value of the rand. So this is what happens. It means the rand now decreases in value. So when it depreciates in value, now the value is getting what? Compressed, it subsides. And when it's being compressed or when it subsides, this is what happens. Foreign countries already have a stronger like a stronger currency strength or power or purchasing power over our country. So let's just say the country or the investor, the foreign investor, which is currently you and I, we are now using what? The Great British Pound, and already one British pound, it's equivalent to 23 rand or 24 rand as we speak currently. So with that being said, it means when they are now decreasing the value of what? The rand, it means it gives them a higher altitude of them being able to purchase whatever thing that they are purchasing. And now in economics, we also have these things. We have what? We have monopoly. We have, let me not start like that. We have perfect market. We have imperfect market. We have what? Monopolistic. We have what? Monopoly also. We have oligopoly. We have geopoly. I'm not going to go in much into all of that, but let's just focus on what? Monopoly. Monopoly, it's what? It's a company or a firm that produces, and it has dominion, it has power, it has, it has the by far the control over what the entire market, because it's the only supply. Same applies in South Africa. The Reserve Bank is only one. It is the only main source of funding our units or our currency. So all these commercial banks have to comply with it. There is no other alternative. So since there is no other alternative, okay, we get back to this to this problem now. Since it's a private, not a nationalized thing, I want you to understand me this. It's a private. So since it's a private, we are the majority holders, and we have discovered that there is land and we are foreign investors. So we depreciate the value, we make it to devaluate. We are devaluating the rand now. So when we're devaluating the rand, we already get to cover what inside a monopoly. We have these two terms. We have natural monopoly and we have artificial monopoly. Artificial monopoly, it means it's a company that is one, but the problem with it is that it has high, extremely intense startup cost. It is extremely hard to start it because of its financial demand. It has too much bargaining capital to demand, which exhausts many people. Hence, we have like this problem with what electricity. We have people that can come up with new strategies that can even solve the problem of load shedding and all of that. But because of artificial monopoly and the entry and barriers to entry, it makes it difficult to finance those costs and to fully cover those costs as startup costs. So now this is what happens. Foreign investors, when the value of our rand has been depreciated or devaluated, they already, even if before the value had been, the rand had been compressed, they were standing a chance to purchase whatever they wanted to purchase. But right now, since you and I, we are the majority shareholders, we are now trying to advantage ourselves. We're trying to capitalize on our deliberate decision to reduce the value of the rand, so that we are now compressing, putting this financial cost or the startup cost of the artificial monopoly to be super low and dense for them. So when they are this low, it makes it easy for foreign investors to then buy whatever land, to buy whatever thing that they want to buy. They get to cover those fixed cost and variable cost. They get to pay for the legislations. They form bills, then those bills get discussed and all of that, then they bring them, the project gets implemented, they get to build and whatever. So when they start, unlike us, black mono capital, so when for them, since they're already majority holders and we don't have majority shareholders who's black, let's just say, in the South African Reserve Bank. So this is what happens, my friend. They get to cover all their costs because why? It's a private bank. So it's not there to fully cover and look at economical conditions, because you should understand the difference between a private and a national thing is that private, their general thing, their main focus is to generate profit for themselves. So they are thinking like capitalists, not what Keynesians, those are people who are like what they are concerned about the gap between the rich and the poor and all of that. So these people, they are monetarists. So since they are monetarists, I'm hoping this gets to make sense. I just hope I'm not using terms that some of you won't be able to understand, but I'll try making sure that I use words that I believe could be can carve and accumulate, sorry, I meant to say that can accommodate everyone. So now these people, they're taking something that which they are now being able to finance their startup cost, cover them and all of that. And then when the business is running under long term, then they're going to release press, what there's gonna be like a story breakout where now journalists are reporting things like, no, there's been a deliberate devaluation in the value of the rand. So since we have that now, obviously the rand will be taken to its market force point, the equilibrium point in the market. It will be returned back to its original value, or its to its original value. Let's just leave it at that. And then After a long term, they are getting dividends from these companies. So when they're getting dividends, now they wanna make more money. So when they wanna make more money, you know what they do now? They are going to what? They are going to allow the rent or the rent to what? To not only gain value, they are going to now they're going to now to reevaluate it, making what the rent to accumulate what more value. And then when it accumulates more value, it means when they are getting returns, because of the difference in like exchange rates. So now if the value was still low, it was still taken at that low point, it disadvantages them. So now they are readjusting it, and then when they are readjusting it, they still feel like, okay, but moving for one pound, those people have to give me like the rand. But if right now we can manipulate this thing to gain value or to do so. To simplify this, because I could do too much, and this thing it's a long topic and a subject to deal with at hand, but I'm gonna try and put this way. EFF has been aware of affairs and state positions that we are currently in, the economical climate that we're in. We can even go to things like printing of notes and how we get licenses from IMF. And it turns out, guys, they don't give us money. We get license. We get the permission to print our money. And which is funny because we have printing plates. We have the ability. When we go there, they don't give us anything. They don't give us the printing plate. They don't give us the machines. We already have that. That's what the South African Reserve Bank deals with. They know how they do it. But at the end of the day, EFF wants, it's what? Economic freedom fighters. These are people that are fighting for the liberation of us as Africa, as a continent as a whole, because they are fighting for it on a continent level. And then they are also fighting for us as South Africans to say that some of the things, guys, there could be, remember with the whole thing of Am.G, we were giving for $1, there was a point where we were giving them about 6 rand or something, meaning that, guys, we are currently in this economical conditions so that foreign countries, foreign investors that want to profit and want to steal our minerals get to benefit, because we are currently not on a level that allows us to fully restrict them from demanding from high demands from our minerals, which is a problem. So I'll end it at that. So thank you. I'll get to discuss because I'm sure the video is up out long, and let me just stop it at that.